everybody. My name is Karen Laganelli, and I am privileged to be the CEO of Notre Dame Healthcare. I hope you enjoyed our brief pre-show this evening, as well as the opportunity to get a glimpse of our very generous supporters featured throughout. We are very excited to get our main event underway. It is my honor, therefore, to introduce our board chair, Sister Lorraine Connell.
Welcome to Notre Dame Healthcare's annual Educational Forum, an event being presented virtually again this year as we all strive to stay safe and connected. We are deeply grateful to all of you for tuning in today to support our work. I know that our upcoming presentation will be uplifting and inspirational. I am Sister Lorraine Connell, a sister of Notre Dame de Namur, and currently chair of the Notre Dame Healthcare's Board of Directors. It is my pleasure to welcome you here today to our annual Educational Forum fundraising event. Proceeds from this event help to support our healthcare mission to ensure that we remain strong and ready to serve. We are grateful for the generous support of our sponsors, program book contributors, and donors. The event program booklet will be mailed out to event contributors and is available online on our event webpage. We hope you enjoy it and join us in appreciating the many generous contributors featured in the booklet. We are especially grateful for the ongoing support of our presenting sponsor, F.L. Putnam Investment Management Company. They have been providing leadership support for our annual forum since its inception 6 years ago. It is my pleasure to introduce Tom Manning, F.L. Putnam's Chief Executive Officer and Notre Dame Healthcare Board member, to join us virtually for some brief remarks.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's virtual fundraising event for Notre Dame Healthcare. My name is Tom Manning, CEO and President of F.L. Putnam Investment Management Company, and I have the distinct pleasure of representing us as the lead sponsor of tonight's event. Beginning many years ago with our founder, David Putnam, F.L. Putnam has long supported this organization and the great work that it does for so many. As all of you know, and the team at Notre Dame Healthcare can attest, the last 2 years have presented unimaginable challenges that the team has worked tirelessly to meet and to overcome. While we all hope that the worst of the pandemic will soon be behind us, your support of this organization now means more than ever. On behalf of our company and as a member of the board of Notre Dame Healthcare, we cannot thank you enough for your commitment to this organization. Before I hand the conversation over to Sister Lorraine, I would like to recognize 3 other members of our team, Ellen Hazen, Suzanne Carroll, and Judy Huvos, who have all done great work over the years to support the organization's mission, as well as Stephen Violin, who volunteers his time as a member of the Finance Committee. I would also like to recognize David Putnam, who founded our company and over many years built a phenomenal relationship with Notre Dame Healthcare. Last year, the event was a tremendous success, which I chalk up largely to the baked goods that Sister Lorraine contributed to the auction, was also due to the tremendous generosity of all of those that attended the event and that routinely support the organization throughout the year. We look forward to this year's program featuring Hannah Brencher. I hope we all take something away from her remarks and use them to see the good in the world around us. Sister Lorraine.
Thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate all you and your colleagues at F.L. Putnam do to help support the mission of Notre Dame Healthcare. As many of you know, for more than 100 years, the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur have been committed to supporting the health of our senior sisters and purchased the property on Plantation Street in Worcester to create a loving and supportive community for the sisters who worked tirelessly in the cities of Massachusetts in the early 1900s, a place of renewal, refreshment, and healthy living. Many years later, Notre Dame Healthcare Center was founded and a wide array of programs and services evolved to help meet the needs of both the sisters and the wider community. Today, Notre Dame Healthcare provides long-term care and rehabilitation services, residential assisted living, adult and pediatric hospice and palliative care programs, and educational services supporting the staff and beyond. It is an honor to be a part of this important mission. Before we move further into our program, I invite you to join me in a moment of prayer for healing and gratitude. Good and gracious God, we first thank you for your fidelity to us in giving us the capacity to care for both our sisters and the wider Worcester community during the last nearly 30 years. Our greatest challenge has been these last 2 years of pandemic, with fear and anxiety among residents, staff, and families, reducing our energy and ability to continue to reach out as in the past. We are truly grateful for the renewed hope and healing that you have brought in the form of effective vaccines, the return of our residents, and the faithful strength of our staff and administrators. We ask your blessing on our time together this evening and are grateful to all who have made this evening possible. As we pray all things through our brother Jesus and your Holy Spirit. Amen. Today we are all joining together to help support Notre Dame Healthcare's extraordinary programs. Let's take a look at some of what's been happening over the past year. I would like to extend a heartfelt appreciation on behalf of our entire board of directors and Sisters of Notre Dame community to the employees at our healthcare organization who continue to work tirelessly to provide the very best care for all those we serve. The compassion and commitment they are demonstrating in the face of the ongoing pandemic is extraordinary. We have a great program ahead, and I am pleased to share some of what you can expect throughout the program. I know we normally ask attendees to silence their cell phones or hide them away, but since this is a virtual event, you may be inspired to make use of that cell phone during the program, and we encourage it. Please keep it handy. Here's why. If you are a Facebook user, please search for and like Notre Dame Healthcare. We invite you to share your comments and photos of you enjoying today's event on our Facebook page. We have heard that some folks have even planned small watch parties, and we'd love to see what's happening. If you don't use Facebook, but would like us to post your photo, please email to the address on our screen and we will post it for you. If you send your photo early in the program, we may even include it during our event broadcast. Next, we have set up an easy way for you to make donations online. Simply snap a photo of the QR code on your screen and you'll be directed to a secure link to make a donation with your credit card. As a special way to say thank you, we have a special gift for donations of $100 or more this evening, including our book by our featured speaker, Hannah Brencher. Finally, we are hosting an online auction to help raise funds and provide you with some interesting items for yourself or perhaps gifts for others as the holidays approach. The link to access the online auction is on our screen. Feel free to browse the items and simply follow the prompts to register to bid on items. The online auction will end at 10 p.m. on October 27th, so please be sure to get your final bids in. Staff will reach out to the highest bidders in the next day or so to arrange for pickup of the items. Now I would like to draw your attention to a very special item featured in the auction, the pecan pie. This will be homemade by me. We had some spirited bidding for this item last year, and I am prepared to up my baking game for today's event. I will bake up to 10 pies for the first 10 buyers who select the Buy It Now option on the auction site. These are available for $100 each, and I promise it will be worth it. Each pie will be prepared prayerfully and with love. Last year's lucky winner bid more than $160, and I'm told he and his family enjoyed both the delicious pie and the opportunity to support Notre Dame Healthcare in this special way. Karen will be back with us shortly, but first we have a brief message from Hannah. Let's see what she has to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Brencher, and I'm so excited to join you in just a bit as we join together to explore the power of presence, a program to help us all better understand how to be a light in the world around us. It's so wonderful to partner with Notre Dame Healthcare in this special virtual event to raise funds to support their healthcare mission. Thank you so much for being with us and for doing what you can to help support their work. I'll see you shortly.
Please join me in welcoming back Notre Dame Healthcare CEO, Karen Laganelli.
Oh my goodness, we already have photos to share. Let's get some of these up right away. We have some from our friends at Media Boss, our Notre Dame at Home employees, Sisters of Notre Dame having a party in Peabody, and our friends at Duloc Assisted Living. Thank you so much for sharing these with us this evening and helping our event to get off to a great start. And Sister Lorraine, thank you so much. And Hannah, we can't thank you enough for being with us this evening and for teasing us a little bit. We're looking forward to seeing you soon in the virtual event. I'm so glad to be back with you and very happy to have you with us tonight. We had truly hoped to be together live and in person for our annual educational forum this year. Unfortunately, ongoing issues related to the pandemic make doing so very challenging. Our goal, as always, however, is to bring you a meaningful, inspiring, and safe event, and I think you'll find that our featured speaker, Hannah Brencher, will certainly deliver on the inspiration front in so many ways. On behalf of all of us at Notre Dame, thank you for your participation and your support. I hope you've had an opportunity to consider participating in some of our virtual fundraising opportunities that were mentioned by Sister Lorraine. From our online giving platform to our virtual online auction, we are grateful for your support. You'll see QR codes on your screen from time to time tonight, and we hope that you will take the opportunity to use them by taking your smartphone camera and scanning the screen as the QR code is displayed. We have also got something very special tonight for you, a special gift for generous donors who are able to give a gift of at least $100 or more. The surprise will include a copy of Hannah's book if you find this letter. Now, we do only have a limited number of copies, so I hope you'll take advantage of this offer by making your gift early tonight. This event would certainly not be possible without the generous support of all of our sponsors, including our presenting sponsor, F.L. Putnam Investment Management Company, and we truly appreciate Tom's kind words earlier this evening already. Our partner and care sponsors, Cutler Associates, JJ Mechanical Contractors, and People's United Bank. Our production sponsor, Media Boss, who has been providing extraordinary technical support and production guidance as we continue our journey into the virtual world of events. Our media sponsors the Catholic Free Press, WICN Public Radio, and the Worcester Business Journal. And finally, our flourishing sponsors, Fallon Health, Mintz Law Firm, and Risk Strategies Company. We also appreciate the support of our supporting sponsors and Peace of Mind sponsors tonight. You'll see their logos highlighted during the virtual gathering as well. Our goal today is to bring you a program that will inspire you and help you see the special ways that you can make a difference in the world around you. We hope you will take away some practical tips that might help to bring inspiration and joy to your day-to-day life as you discover how you can make a difference. I am so thrilled to introduce our featured speaker this evening. Hannah Brencher is a writer, TED speaker, and mental health advocate with a heart for building leaders. She is the author of 3 best-selling books, Fighting Forward, If You Find This Letter, and Come Matter Here. She is the founder of More Love Letters, a global organization using the power behind social media to write and mail letters to strangers in need across the world. Named as one of the White House's Women Working to Do Good, Hannah and her work have been featured in publications such as CNN World News, The Wall Street Journal, Oprah.com, Glamour Magazine, among other publications and periodicals. Hannah is a proud alumna of Assumption University right here in Worcester, Massachusetts, and she currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with her husband Lane and daughter Nova Lee. During our live broadcast of this event, Hannah will be present in the live chat box as well on our YouTube page, offering encouragement and inspiration, and she may even answer a few questions. You are most welcome to chat along with us, and we hope you'll take this offer seriously. Joining us virtually with her special presentation, The Power of Presence, your call to show up and be a light in the world around you. Let us welcome Hannah Brencher.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Brencher, and I am so excited to be with you this evening for this special event. I'm excited to share parts of my story with you, and hopefully parts of that story can unlock something inside of you so that we can further the mission of tonight, which is this idea of being present in the world around us and figuring out how each of us can be light in the world around us. I just love that idea of each of us showing up in our own space and our own capacity to be a light. Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely looked around over the past 18 months and felt like, wow, sometimes it's very dark and confusing in our world right now, and I think that we could all agree that one thing that our world needs more than anything is more light. And so I hope that my story can empower you to realize that your story is a light to other people. I really believe firmly in the power of stories, that they have the capacity to unlock things inside of us and unlock things inside of other people. And so even when we go through hard times where it's confusing or we don't really know the reason behind things, I really know that stories can be the thing that help encourage other people. You know, going through something tough, you might come out on the other side of it and you might be able to encourage someone who is just a few steps behind you. Those stories can be anchors and they can be lights in and of themselves. And so that's why I firmly believe in sharing our stories and putting our stories out there, because we never know who we're inspiring or we're empowering or we're encouraging to step into their own story and fully own it. Fun fact about me, I lived here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm actually originally from Connecticut. I went to school in Worcester, Massachusetts at Assumption College, so it's great to be back in this capacity. And my story really kind of starts there, but I want to share just a little introduction story, so you'll learn about me very quickly that I am a storyteller at heart. I always say I never met a story that I didn't love. And so several years ago, I was working in my office space and I had someone coming in to help do some work, some intern work, and we were getting to know one another throughout the day, and I kept asking him questions about himself. And every time that I asked him a question, it felt like this perfectly polished answer was the response, like as if he had practiced the questions. And at one point in our conversation, I just said, "Hey Blake, like, tell me something that not everybody knows already. Like, tell me something real." Like I wanted to get to know the real him behind the polished answers. And he looked at me for a moment and he stopped and he got really quiet and he said, "I wake up every single day wondering if any of this matters." He said, "I go to sleep by the light of my phone, checking places that I've mattered all throughout the day." He said, "They never really fill me for more than 5 minutes, but I'm just in this habit of just checking my text messages, checking social media." He said, "I knew all day that I was coming here, and so I waited all day to get a text from you so I could get up, get dressed, and go matter somewhere." He said, "It feels like I'm almost always waiting on a text from someone that says, 'Come matter here. Come matter here.'" And when he shared that with me, it felt like a gut punch in my stomach, because I've been in that space before. I've lived in that space before. I think that if all of us are being honest, that probably most of us have experienced that before, where, you know, there's this desire for significance, there's this desire for it to matter. And sometimes we look around at our everyday lives and we think, this can't be it. Like, there has to be something more significant. We spend so much of our lives chasing that significance. And that's something that I did straight out the gate graduating from college in Worcester, Massachusetts. I moved to New York City and I had that need and that desire in me to do something significant, to do something big. And I really think that that's something that our culture talks about a lot, that is kind of just like embedded in our spirits, is this need to be significant, to matter somehow. And so when I moved to New York City, I was working for a human rights NGO at the United Nations. I am not sure why they gave that job to a college student right out of college, but I took this opportunity. I was going into this city. I was vowing to learn as much as I possibly could. And shortly after, I started to experience loneliness. And that morphed into sadness. And then that sadness morphed into, sorry, I just don't feel like getting out of bed today. Or I just don't feel like getting up and getting dressed, because that means that I have to go outside. And I'm already genuinely sorry for the people that have to talk to me and the sidewalks that have to take my footsteps. I didn't realize at the time that what this was a depression diagnosis. Depression wasn't something 10 years ago that we talked about really openly about. I'd only seen little presentations about it in college. And so I didn't really know how to tell my friends and family, like, I'm struggling. Something is going on. I don't know how to push myself and just be stronger. And I just remember bullying myself day after day, just be stronger, just get better. And, I think a lot of us have experienced that if we had never experienced it before in these last 18 months where life has been crazy and it's been hard and there's been a lot of uncertain circumstances. And some days we just kind of wake up and think like, come on, just like get it together, come on. But I had to learn in that journey that I had to treat myself with compassion and grace, though I wasn't doing that as a first response. To be honest, I closed in on myself. I didn't really tell people what I was going through. It was one of the darkest times in my life, but I'm thankful for it because it led me to the story that I'm living today, a story that I could have never imagined that I would get to live inside of. And so I could tell you about this one time that I was sitting on a subway in New York City and I was coming home from work, and I remember this crowd of people coming onto the subway at Grand Central Station, and this woman pulled out from the crowd. She sat down across from me, she tucked her head against the wall, and she didn't look up for that entire train ride. I know this because I stared at her for that entire train ride, hoping she might look in my direction and say something like, "Look around this train, girl, you are not the only lonely one on this train." But she didn't move, she didn't really look at me. And to know me is to know I'm probably the opposite of my mother. My mother is one of the greatest people that you will ever meet if you ever have the honor of meeting her, but we are so completely different. So I kind of sat there and just, felt really uncomfortable with what was this pull to this older woman on the subway. But I know that if my mom had been there, she'd already be on the other side of the train talking to this woman about cheesecake or whatever it is that my mom talks to perfect strangers about. And that's because she's never met a person that's been a stranger to her. She is someone who fully embodies this idea of being present to the world around us. She is the person that carries a kazoo in her pocketbook so that if at any moment someone is having a birthday in a restaurant, she can join in and play the kazoo. And I'm not talking about people that she knows or people that she came to dinner with. She will get up from the table and she will go join the birthday party of someone else. My mom is the person that, still has an answering machine at home, and the answering machine is recorded in Spanish, though she's not Spanish, but she used her little pocket Spanish dictionary in order to have this little answering machine. And she's still somebody who, gets lost without her phone. She doesn't see the necessity of always being plugged in. And I remember as a kid, begging my mom, please just get a cell phone, please, stop embarrassing me. I look back and I realized that my mom wasn't embarrassing me. She was teaching me some really important messages. She was teaching me the art of being present and how much I would need that lesson in the world that we live in today. I can't even imagine, with all of the phones, all of the digital connections that we have. We have never been more connected than ever before, and yet I would argue and say that we have never been more disconnected. My mom was teaching me that if you have someone in front of you, pay attention to them, look them in the eye, engage them in a conversation because it is so necessary in the world today. She was teaching me that if someone is in front of you, you treat them like they're the center of your universe because at some point you have wanted to feel like the center of somebody's universe. And so while I was embarrassed, I have grown up with this appreciation for my mom and her ability to rally people and make people feel seen and known. So as I was sitting on that subway thinking about my mom and how my mom would have found a way to engage this stranger who looked tired and lonely and sad, I did the first thing I could think of. I pulled out a notebook because I am a writer. I always carry a notebook with me. And I just started writing this woman a letter. And I got so engrossed in writing this letter that by the time I looked up, the woman had actually exited the train. And I realized this was the first time in such a long time that I didn't feel sad or lonely or all stuck in my own thoughts. And so I picked another person out from the crowd and I wrote them a letter. And then I picked another person out from the crowd and I wrote them a letter. And I filled this notebook with letters that I was never going to read again. And so what I decided to do is I decided to rip them out of the notebook one by one. I folded them up and I wrote on the front of the letter, if you find this letter, it's for you. And I started tucking them and leaving them all across New York City for people to find. And it was this cathartic process, but more than anything, it made me feel less alone. It made me feel less disconnected from the world around me. And I ended up blogging about these love letters, that I was leaving these letters around the city. And I wrote at the end of the blog post, if you need a letter for whatever reason, I will write to you. No questions asked. Now, at the time, my blog was very little, and so I thought, I'll probably get a letter request from like my best friend from college and my mom, and I'll write 2 letters, and that will be it. The story will be over. We'll move on. Well, I went to bed only to wake up to hundreds of letter requests from people all over the world asking me to write them a letter. Some of the saddest, craziest stories that I have ever read in my life. And they're all asking a 22-year-old girl, a girl who barely even knows her own coffee order, to write them a letter and give them a reason to wait by the mailbox at the end of the day. And while I was overwhelmed and I wasn't sure how I was going to do this, I just sat down and I started to write. And I wrote 100 letters, and I wrote 200 letters, and I wrote 300 letters. And I know that it probably paints this picture in your mind of like, oh my gosh, what a romantic thing to be in the middle of New York City writing love letters to strangers. That's like the premise for a rom-com. But I will tell you, it did not play out that way, that there were definitely days where I did not feel like writing these letters. There were definitely days where I thought, why did I even make this promise to the internet? And I can tell you throughout the whole thing from start to finish, I did not see the significance in the work that I was doing. I was still stuck in this mindset that to be significant, I had to be doing something big. I had to be doing something global. I didn't even realize the power in the small, simple gesture that I was showing up to do day after day, hour after hour. I was just putting these letters in the mailbox, sending them off, and getting on to the next thing. And I really looked at that time in my life as like, when this is over, then I can do something else. Then I can do something significant. I didn't realize that I was engaging in the most significant work that I had ever done. And that was in showing up, being fully present to my life, and being fully present to the needs of people around me. And so I said I had written close to 400 letters. And I got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not writing any more letters. Like, this will be a great story to tell my kids about one day, but like, I am moving forward, you know? And I remember my friends around me at that time, they kept saying to me, there's something here. You need to make this, you got to do something with this. And I felt like that was such a daunting ask to be able to figure out what to do. I had just written some letters. I had dealt with depression. I had showed up for some other people, but I realized that the best part of my story was going to be when I was able to engage other people, engage the world around me, and give them the same remedy that had worked for me at a time where I felt really lonely and really lost. And so I built a website. I basically put some things together. I was slugging energy drinks at night, like feeling like, oh my gosh, this is actually the coolest thing that I've done in a while. And I put out there a website, launched a love letter writing organization. And if you're like, oh, a love letter writing organization, like I've never heard of that before. That's just because one had not existed before and we didn't really know what it was going to look like and how it was going to work. But we came up with this concept called a love letter bundle. And it was this idea that if you went onto the website and you requested letters for someone going through a hard time, that we could put their story online. We could redact any kind of details that would compromise their identity, in the sense of like keeping it all anonymous. And then people would get to write letters to that person, send them in from all over the world, and that person would be gifted with a love letter bundle, anywhere from 100 to 200 to 300 letters, showing up for someone on a day where they think that no one is going to notice them. And so we started creating these love letter bundles, and we thought 300 love letters was a lot, but we've had bundles of 500, 700 letters. 1,200 letters is our biggest love letter bundle to date, showing up for people all over the world. So I could tell you the story about a man named Ray who was fighting stage 4 colon cancer, and it was his daughter that requested love letters for him. They started showing up during one of his last rounds of chemo, and they sat together and they read the letters together, and he decided, I've got this, I'm gonna fight for this, and I get to sit here today and say that Ray survives, and that love letters are paneling the walls of his office. Or I could tell you about a woman named Leona who, after 69 years of loving her husband, he passed away. And it didn't matter how much her grandchildren's laughter would fill the days. There were just days where, plain and simple, she wanted him back. And it was her granddaughter that requested love letters for her. They showed up just around Christmas time. Leona sat in her favorite chair. She read letter after letter after letter. She said that she got up from her walker. She got up from her chair. She wheeled her walker into the kitchen, and she announced to the family, I am going to stick around now. I'm going to read these letters every day, and I'm going to stick around. Or I could tell you about the man who came home from serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was riddled with PTSD, and it was his sister requested love letters for him. They started showing up from all over the place, and she didn't hear from him for a little while, but eventually he called her on the phone, and he said, I'm sitting on the floor and I'm crying. This one small act has restored my faith in humanity. I could tell you hundreds of these stories because we've seen the power of letters. But I think the most important thing, that it's not about stamps, it's not about stationery, it's not about writing handwritten letters, though all of that is a beautiful way to show somebody that you care, but it's what those things symbolize in our world today. They symbolize presence. They symbolize showing up. They symbolize checking in when it would be easier to check out. And I think that's what a lot of us face in these heavy situations and circumstances and times that we're in today, is that it would just be so much easier to check out, to just get on Facebook, to just get in our inbox, to just find a way to just push out everything that we're facing. But I want to challenge you to check in, to relentlessly check into your life and the world around you, because you can impact people in a way that I can't. I'm over here in Atlanta. I'm not where you are. I don't have the same neighbors as you. I don't have the same coworkers as you. I don't have the same opportunities as you. And so how do we be light to the world around us? We show up and we decide to be light right in the space that we've been given. We stop thinking that significance is somewhere else there, and we decide that we're just gonna show up and we're gonna matter right here, right where we are. Because the thing is, there are needs all around us. There are people that need our letters. There are people that need our phone calls. There are people that need to know that someone sees them today. And I'm a big believer that when we, power down the devices, when we decide to get present right where we are, we start to notice these nudges around us. We start to notice the needs of other people, and we can better respond to those needs. And I think that it's so important to acknowledge those nudges and to not ignore those nudges, especially in the world that we're in today, and especially the time of year that we're coming up on. We're coming up on the holidays, and the holidays can be such a hard and difficult time for so many people that we need to do our part to not ignore those nudges. people in your life, I'm sure as I'm talking, you are thinking of a certain person or a certain circumstance, and I'm just going to challenge you to not ignore that, to not shy away from it just because you don't have all the right words or you don't have the answers to fix their problems. People don't need you to have all the answers. They just need you to come alongside them and maybe sit with them in that quiet space for a little while. And so I hope that my story can be an inspiration to you, and I hope that it inspires you to realize that there is power in your own story. This is a story that I'm still living out every single day. We get to do beautiful work with More Love Letters every single day. We have sent hundreds of thousands of letters into the world, but I have learned, even as I have run this organization in over 70 countries, that the most notable things that I will ever do are right here. That I need to recommission myself to the work of right here and right now, because my family is the people that need me. My friends are the people that need me. My neighbors are the people that need me. And so it'd be very easy to get my head stuck in the clouds of a bigger mission, but my bigger mission is right here, right in front of me. And so I want to close just by giving you a few little mini challenges. If you feel inspired and you want to take it that step further, then I've got a few ways in which you can take the fire planted in you tonight and just start to spread it, start to spread that light. And so the first one, as you can probably imagine, is to write a letter, to think about somebody in your life that needs to hear from you. And they're probably, going to expect a text or an email, but how powerful would it be to get a letter in the mail? I have friends that talk about it all the time, about the fact that all they ever get in their mailbox is bills. And so you could be that shining light in somebody's life by writing them a letter, by reminding them why they matter, why it matters that they're here. You could be that person for somebody. The second one is to simply call somebody out of the blue. Just to say, hey, just to say, I'm thinking of you today. I'm hoping that you're doing well. How surprising would it be for somebody to see your name pop up on the caller ID, especially if maybe you haven't talked in 6 months or a year or 2 years, but go through your address book on your phone and think about, who would it mean a lot to if I just popped in and I just said, hey, I just want to let you know that I admire you today, that I'm thinking of you. It's just this spontaneous act that can just be such a catalyst of joy for somebody. And the third challenge is to go somewhere this season without your phone. I have become it's been my own personal mission to be powering down my phone more than ever before so I can be present with my family, so I can be in the moment. And it's been so amazing the way that my brain responds to that, the way in which my brain kind of keys into the world around me, what's going on in the world around me, and I'm able to better respond to those nudges that we've talked about throughout this talk. And so go somewhere without your phone, look at the world around you, be in the world around you, and realize that the way the culture sells us this lie of just hustling towards significance, it's not there. You can get to the top and it won't be there. It's right here on the ground. We have to recommission ourselves to the work of right here, right now, and realize that it matters that we're here. So we need to come matter here, show up in this space, be a light to your people, and keep fighting forward against the odds. Thank you guys for having me. I was so excited to be here tonight. I'm so excited to be in the live chat. I hope you have a great evening, and I hope you know from the bottom of my heart that it matters so much that you're here.
So as we come back live, I've got some really great news, and I'm going to contain my excitement just a little bit because we have even more wonderful pictures that have been sent to us tonight from some of our viewing audience. So to get us started, here is a photograph of some of our residents at Duloc Assisted Living. Thanks for being here tonight with us, guys. We really appreciate it. We also have some of our youngest viewers here with us tonight. Maria Bunker, board member, and her family. Actually, Maria's not in the picture. Her husband, Tim's chin is, and her 2 children, Xandar and his brand new brother, Giovanni. Welcome and thank you for being here, and thanks for sharing this shot tonight, Maria. We also have some of our Notre Dame at Home employees, as usual, supporting everything we do, Notre Dame at Home. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing this pic tonight. Some of our staff at some of our staff at the Assisted Living Dulac residence, again, we appreciate you being here and sharing this photo with us of your time tonight. Hope you're having a ball. And Mary Ann from Long-Term Care. Mary Ann, as usual, thank you for sharing a photo of your puppy. We're thrilled to see him, and we hope you two are having a great evening as well. And let's see, also, a very rare capture, I'm told, of Sister Lorraine Cannell smiling. This one should probably be framed somewhere. Yes, a round of applause on that one. Thank you. Thank you for such a great photo, Sister Lorraine, and for your photographer sending it to us. And finally, we have the son of one of our employees at Notre Dame Dulac, Phoenix. Her son, Declan, is here with us tonight. Thank you so very much. We couldn't be more happy that we have all these terrific shots this evening. We're going to keep all these pictures and do something really great, the production folks tell me. So thank you again for sharing with these with us tonight. And please, Hannah, please understand how grateful we are to have you with us this evening as well. We are so grateful for the time you were able to spend with us. Every one of us has been faced at some time in our life with some form of stress or loneliness and trying to find special meaning in our lives. We appreciate the reminder from you this evening that it's always important for us to realize what a role we can play in the lives of others by being a light in their lives. And we do appreciate you helping us to remember that tonight. And for our viewers, please don't forget that Hannah is still available in the chat room, the YouTube chat room, which is running live. I've seen some of you communicating with her. She's communicating back, so I hope you continue to take this opportunity to chat with her tonight and have a great time in your conversation. Before we end this evening's program, I'd like to share a little bit more about us, Notre Dame Healthcare, and how your support can be a light in our life, as well as why your support matters so much to us and those that we serve. I've been familiar with Notre Dame's mission, ministries, and the Notre Dame difference for now nearly 3 decades, as I have worked at other mission-driven nonprofits in the region. Notre Dame Healthcare is truly a unique and special community. The longer I'm here, the more I realize it. This truth has been magnified throughout the pandemic as we continue to strive to bring the very best to those in our care. The pandemic has tested the strength and commitment of our dedicated employees who also face real-world challenges due to the pandemic, yet they still come to work every day to fulfill our mission and care for those that we serve. We are grateful beyond words for their loyalty and for the compassionate care, service, and love that they bring each and every day. As you all know, the impact of COVID-19 has been most severely felt by elder care service communities across the world. At Notre Dame Healthcare, we too have felt the heartbreak of loss. We continue to experience the financial challenges associated with ensuring we are ready to serve in every way, from adequate supplies of personal protective equipment, or PPE, which goes with us everywhere, to continued and appropriate testing of our residents and staff, to the purchase and installation of physical barriers to ensure proper infection control practices throughout our facilities and offices, and so much more. On some days, our staff is exhausted, but they carry on and they do their very best. I could not be more proud of and grateful to all of them. Our Dulac Assisted Living Residence and Long-Term Care and Rehabilitation Center are wonderful, welcoming homes that remain ready to serve. We know our families are truly grateful for the support and comfort our staff have provided to their loved ones, especially when they were not able to come to our campus. Our hospice and palliative care teams are busy working with patients and families throughout the community. They have also strengthened their processes around technology to ensure that they can also manage their patient consultations with their use of telehealth technology and regular phone visits if need arises. Their outreach has enabled families to stay intact and well supported, and we are really proud of that. Our Educational Bridge Center, which provides adult basic ed, English language assistance, citizenship test preparation, and more, continues to be physically closed as a result of the pandemic. Despite these challenges, staff and volunteers have been supporting students via Zoom, FaceTime, and phone. And remote learning systems and curriculum have helped ensure we can support the educational needs of our staff and students going forward. On behalf of Notre Dame Healthcare, I cannot thank you enough for your generosity and support today. Your investment helps keep us strong for those we serve. A final thanks to our generous sponsors, auction bidders, and contributors. We are so grateful for all you do to support our work. Thanks also to the many ad book contributors and online auction donors who are included in our booklet, which is posted on our event webpage and will be mailed to event sponsors. We truly could not host this event without your support, and we couldn't deliver on the promises of the Notre Dame difference without the support of everyone watching tonight. Thank you so very much. We hope that you had a wonderful evening. Before I leave, there's one more person that I would like to personally thank, and that is the Executive Director of Development and Communications for Notre Dame Healthcare, Paige Pthayer. Paige, we all know this event didn't happen without you. We can't thank you enough for all that you did to put such a phenomenal evening together for us. We are truly grateful. And I think Hannah has stopped back for a final thought.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I wish that we could have been together in person, but I'm grateful for technology and all the new and different ways that we can come together virtually. I hope you enjoyed the program, you found some inspiration, and hopefully tapped into what you can do to be a light to the world around you. Thanks also for supporting the mission of Notre Dame Healthcare. I hope you'll please take a moment to make that special gift or to bid on some of the cool items in their online auction. You can be a bright light for Notre Dame right now.